And today we will be beginning the commentary by Urmila Devidasi. In his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Rupa Goswami compared desire for mundane pleasure, bhakti, and liberation, mukti, to two witches. In verse 4 of Manohar Siksa, not only does Raghunath Das Goswami use the analogies of a prostitute and a tigress, respectively, but interestingly, he also writes of each in terms not exactly of our desire, but of our speech. It is talking about mundane thing, which is a prostitute stealing one's love with a promise of pleasure. It talks of liberation, which is tigers eating our very self. Raghunath Das Goswami's analogies also focus on what is valuable. Both the prostitute and the tigress take what is valuable from us. Whereas, if we choose to instead serve Radha and Krishna, we receive love as their own love in the form of a jewel. Often in Shastra and the works of the Acharya, we are told to engage in Krishna's service with body, mind, and words. In this verse, the emphasis is on the words, what we hear and what we talk about. At this point in Manohar Siksa, the reader has already relinquished attachment to ordinary dharma and adharma, being firmly on the path of love and attachment to Guru, Vaishnavas, and Krishna in Vrindavan. Yet here we see that Das Goswami warns even such a person about what topics are appropriate for hearing and speaking. What a wonderful instructions. Rupa Goswami identified such talk as one of the destroyer of bhakti. In his purport to Nectar of Instruction, verse 2, Srila Prabhupada comment as follows, quote, old men who retire from active life, play cards, fish, watch television, and debate about the useless socio-political schemes. All these and other frivolous activities are included in the Prajalpa category. Intelligent person interested in Krishna consciousness should never take part in such activities. Haribol, the word never. Today we could add so many modern electronic means of Prajalpa to Prabhupada list. Hare Krishna. So we will be continue reading Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita. We are on volume number 2, chapter title as a Beyond the Lower East Side. I'll read a couple of lines to bring up to the speed and then we will continue. The devotee listens submissively to the words of their spiritual master, while at the same time trying to comprehend the effect this would have on the audience. Certainly some people would turn it off at the very mention of a spiritual nature. Swamiji continued reading, explaining that the chanting would deliver one from the sensual, mental, and the intellectual planes and bring one to the spiritual realm. So this is the essence message. Somehow or other, we have to remain attached to chant the holy name of the Lord. And that will purify our existence, no matter how much fallen we are. Good. We have seen it practically, Prabhupada continued. Quote, even a child can take part in the chanting, as we see, Atharva, Samskritis, the Gopal Govind Prabhu's Akshata, those nice, they're chanting very beautifully. Or even a dog can take part in it. The chanting should be heard, however, from the lips of a pure devotees of the Lord. And he continued reading on to the end. Quote, very important sentence. No other means, therefore, of spiritual realization is as effective in this age as chanting the Mahamantra Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare. Alan again came rushing out of the studio. It was fine, he said. He explained that they had recorded a little echo into the speech to make it special for the listener. Now he pushed back his glasses with his finger. Quote, we have got about 10 minutes left on the side with the speech. Would you like to chant again? Or is it too late, Swamiji? Prabhupada smiled. No, it was not too late. He would chant the prayers to his spiritual master. What a great enthusiasm. While his disciples lounged around the studio, watching their spiritual master and the technical activity of the engineers behind the glass, Prabhupada began singing. Again the harmonium's drone began, then the tambura and drum, but with a much smaller rhythm group than before. He sang through without any retakes, and then ended the song and the evening with a fortissimo drumming as the hand pump organ notes faded. Again, Alan came out and thanked the Swami for being so patient and such a good studio musician. Prabhupada was still sitting. Quote, now we are tired, he admitted. Suddenly, over the studio sound system came a playback of the Hare Krishna chanting, complete with echo. When Prabhupada heard the successful recording of his chanting, he became happy and stood and began dancing, swaying back and forth, dipping slightly from the waist, his arm upraised in the style of Lord Chaitanya, dancing in ecstasy. Even though Prabhupada accepted that he was so tired, this is the fact of the love of the holy name. The scheduled performance was over, but now Swami Vijay was making the best performance of the evening from his spontaneous feelings. As he danced, his half-asleep disciple became startled and also rose to their feet and joined him, dancing in the same style. And in the recording booth behind the glass, the engineers also raised their hand and began dancing and chanting. Quote, now you have made your best record, unquote, Swamiji told Mr. Coleman as he left the studio for the freezing Manhattan evening. Swamiji got into the front seat of the Volkswagen bus while the Hare Krishna chanters climbed into the back with their instrument, and Rupanuga drove them back home, back to the Lower East Side. The next morning, Prabhupada didn't get up. He was exhausted. Kirtananda, who was personally serving him, became alarmed when the Swami said something about his heart skipping and about not being able to move. You know, when Hanuman Prasad Swami Maharaj visited and we exchanged the text message every day, and I told Maharaj that I don't want to give you trouble because Maharaj has that, not the systematic, the heart is not beating properly. So Maharaj under medications. I don't want to create more trouble, but those personalities undeviated, they want to give everything what they have. For the first time, it became apparent that he was overexerting himself. Kirtananda thought back through the fall and summer when the Swami had led them all on hour-long kirtan in the park or on late evening ventures. They had come to take it for granted. But now, Kirtananda saw that there was cause to be worried for Swamiji's health. Swamiji had no appetite for lunch, although by afternoon he regained his appetite and usual activity. That same day, a letter arrived from Mukunda in San Francisco. Not long after their wedding, Mukunda and Janki had left for the West Coast. Mukunda had told Swamiji that he wanted to go on to India to study Indian music. But after a few weeks in southern Oregon, he had ended up in San Francisco. Now he had a better idea. He wanted to rent a place and invite Swamiji to come and start his Hare Krishna movement in the Haight-Ashbury district, just as he was doing on the Lower East Side. He said that the prospect there for Krishna consciousness was very good. On hearing this, Prabhupada began unfolding his expansive plans. They should, they have all time some kind of a ad during the music's Haribol. I think it will be finished very soon. Yes. Nothing is free in this material world. They should open temples not only in San Francisco, but one by one all over the world, even in Russia and China, and bring the Bhagavad Gita in different languages. You know, at the Eastern Temple, we have made the library where Jagannath deities are there, and we have displayed a wonderful display of all different languages of Bhagavad Gitas. Very nice collections. As he would translate all the volumes of Srimad Bhagavatam into English and take a party of devotees back to India. The devotees who heard him were amazed. Kirtananda, who had seen the alarming symptoms of Prabhupada's ill health, began to forget what he had thought earlier that morning. If Krishna desired, Kirtananda thought, Swamiji could do anything. When Prabhupada came down to hold this morning class on November 19, he carried a large red book instead of the usual brown one. But no one noticed the difference. He began, as always, softly singing prayer to his spiritual master and accompanying himself with a faint rhythm on his bongo. The neighbors were still asleep. Weather was cold, but the steam radiators kept the storefront warm. There would be no more outdoor chanting now. In Manhattan, the city opens wide in the summer and shuts tight in the winter, which for the evening classes meant no more noisy children outside the door. And although the morning classes had always been quiet, even in the summer, now with winter approaching, the group became a tighter, more committed core of the sincere students coming together to hear Swamiji speak. It was now 4 months since he had begun ISKCON at 26th 2nd Avenue. He had held 3 separate initiations and initiated 19 devotees. Most of them had become serious, although a few remained casual visitors. Now in these morning classes, Swamiji wanted to instruct them more about how to become devotees. He led the chanting of the Hare Krishna for 20 minutes, cautioning them to respond softly so that the neighbors would not pour water through the ceiling again. Although they hadn't done it lately, Prabhupada always tried to cooperate with the tenants, but occasionally someone would start a petition, which never amounted to much against the devotees. Sometimes Prabhupada would help the landlord, Mr. Chetty, by taking out other tenants' garbage or just giving him a hand. Mr. Chetty was a husky, beer-bellied Polish refugee who lived alone in an apartment on the first floor. Mr. Chetty respected the Swami for his age and scholarship, and Swamiji was always amiable with him. Whenever Mr. Chetty came to the apartment, he would never take his shoes off. And Prabhupada would always say, quote, "That's all right, that's all right." How lenient Prabhupada was in the beginning, But we are so stubborn. And one time when the plumbing didn't work in Prabhupada's apartment, Prabhupada went downstairs and took a shower in Mr. Chetty's apartment. But Swamiji also considered Mr. Chetty a classic example of a foolish materialistic. Because although he had spent his life saving to buy this building, he still had to work so hard. Swamiji said he was a fool for having spent his savings to buy such a rundown building, because the building was in such a poor conditions that he had to work like an ass to keep it up. This is how the materialistic works, Swamiji would say. We found our own destiny. We are the one need to be blamed. We are the one who is creating our life. Everything is under control. Whatever we want to do, we can do in our life. So we cannot blame anybody for our circumstances. So Mr. Chetty, although respectful to the Swami, didn't like the devotees. Prabhupada told his disciples, quote, "Treat him as if he were your father," unquote. What a wonderful. So that's what they did. That's the beauty of the earlier disciple that they follow. Even though, we should not follow blindly, but they have so much faith. Even the Gaudiya Math and other Swamis, when they used to meet with Srila Prabhupada, they really appreciate. They say one thing to Prabhupada, that we have never seen the dedication in the instruction of your spiritual master other than your disciple. So that's very good glorification for those who dedicated their life to Prabhupada movement. Anytime they would have to deal with Mr. Chetty, they would approach him saying, "We are your sons." Those disciples who live at the storefront had risen by 6:30, bathed and assembled downstairs by 7, while those who lived outside were arriving separately, taking off their coats and piling them on the south of the display window. Although women always attended the evening meetings, yesterday we were talking with the Param Karuna Prabhu that Krishna likes the woman more than the man. He likes everyone equally, but the point was that we see that even when we have Sadhu Sangha, the Krishna Katha, mainly you see prominent presence of woman than the man. Man wants to do everything, other thing. And then Param Karuna Prabhu was saying that sometime, I don't know, in the Portland or somewhere, when they invited him to give a class, Prabhuji noticed, that all the men, they will go in the other room and have their own chatting, whatever the subject matter. And only the ladies will be hearing him. This was Prabhuji's observation on the home program. But then Prabhuji made that comment, but as soon as we announce Prasadam is coming up, they will light up the first one. There you go. How much men shall follow? Okay, let's see. All the women always attended the evening meeting. We have to make a survey in our Zoom call also that how many men versus women joining. Maybe that's a fact. More women may be joining, who knows. Maybe our Japa admins can dwell into it one day and see that what the ratio is. Jadurani was usually the only girl who came in the morning. After breakfast, she would begin painting upstairs in the Swami's front room. She used a beginner's technique of dividing the canvas into vertical and horizontal grid lines and transporting bit by bit corresponding section of a photograph onto the canvas. This is the way we can learn the painting. The process was painstaking, and sometimes her painting was out of proportion. But Jadurani was sincere, and that pleased Prabhupada. Sincerity, that's what it pleased our Guru Parampara. She had completed several paintings of Vishnu, a new painting of Radha and Krishna, and painting of Lord Chaitanya and his associate. When the painting of Lord Chaitanya was finished, Swamiji had it hung in the temple. Quote, "Now," he announced, "there should be no more nonsense here. Lord Chaitanya is present." After the morning kirtan, Swami said as usual, quote, "Now chant one round," unquote. They chanted together, following him. They all had a vow to chant 16 rounds daily, but they chanted their first round in the morning in the Swami's presence, so he could see each of them. As Swamiji chanted, he looked out at Second Avenue, which was mostly deserted, or at the picture on the wall. Or with concerned glances at the individual devotees. Sometimes he seemed surprised when he saw them chanting so earnestly, giving evidence of the power of the holy name to deliver even the most fallen. Some of the devotees kept their beads in a bead bag like his, but when they chanted the first round together in the morning, they imitated him by holding their beads out in both hands and chanting along with him. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, until they finished one round. As I was telling Samskruti, very nice girl. Sometimes she might be not counting, so I requested her that hold that beads like this in two hands and then move one bead at a time. It's essential sometimes. Then he held up unfamiliar red book. Because you are a little advanced, he said. I'm going to read today from the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Chaitanya what? No one was able to pick up the pronunciations. They had heard of Chaitanya, certainly, but not of this new book. But in his room the night before, Prabhupada had informed some of the devotees that he would start reading from a new book, Chaitanya Charitamrita. He said that Lord Chaitanya had told one of his disciples that understanding Krishna wasn't really possible, but that he would give the disciple just a drop of the ocean of Krishna consciousness, so that the disciple could then appreciate what the whole ocean must be like. Be patient as I present this, he had told them. It is revolutionary, but you should just be patient. I think it's 6:52. Okay, 3 more minutes. In the store from Brahmananda, turn on the reel-to-reel tape recorder as Swamiji began reading the Bengali verses. And both Satsarup and Umapati opened their notebooks and waited, poised for rapid note-taking. It was almost a college classroom atmosphere as Prabhupada cleared his throat, put on his eyeglasses, and peered over the large open volume, turning to the correct page. Whenever he wore the glasses, he seems to reveal a new personality of deep Vaishnava scholarship. This feature of Swamiji emphasizes his old age, not that it showed him feeble or invalid, but it emphasized his scholarship and wisdom and his contemplation of the scriptures. In contrast to his vigorous drum playing in Thompson Square Park, or his alert business dealing while looking for a new building. Like yesterday, in our reading session with His Grace Param Karuna Prabhu, I said, Prabhuji, I write the notes and I have to read maybe 15, 20, 30 times before I will ask the point. I'm so fallen like this. And Prabhuji made a wonderful comment. He said Srimad Bhagavatam is just to relish when we read that song. You don't have to remember anything. You don't have to dwell on it. Just stay at the present time and relish. That's all it is. So soothing answer. So I think with those thoughts, the devotees has other duties to perform, so we should stop here. And before they leave, I'm so grateful for that association, even though I'm not qualified. But having that association is make me strong, that I know for sure. And I hope that they will be kind to me. So with those thoughts, I would like to offer my humble obeisances at the desk of these wonderful Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis. Vanchakalpatarubhasya kripa sindhuvaya vacha patitanam pavane